Hey everyone, it's Alexi. Welcome back to another Broken Arrow video. Today we're playing Guards Moto on, is this Riga Airport? I think so, Riga Airport. So, yeah, let's get into it, I guess. I can't hear any of the game audio. Oh no, we can. There we go. I'm going to turn it up just a tad. Sorry. Nah, fuck it. We don't care. Big theme with this match is waiting. So lots of waiting in this match. We're playing against like a Chinese. I don't know if they're all stacked. I don't think they were. They weren't coordinating like super well, at least on my side. But at least Chinese opponents, which makes sense because I was playing this at early my time. Like early as in the AM in the morning. And that's typically when the Chinese are playing. So, yeah. Some good opponents. We'll analyze this game. This game's going to be a bit more dull than my usual games, but sometimes that's okay. You need something to just relax to. You don't need constant action all the time. So, I'll kind of show you guys what's up and go from there. So. And I'm just sending some Kozliks out. If you guys are noticing what I failed to notice right now, we'll see it in about a minute, maybe a little less than a minute, probably a minute. Whenever my units get set is when I noticed what's going on. So, and this Russian guy types something, and I translate it. And he says something about how we can't let the Chinese 5-stack beat us. Something like that. That was essentially what he put. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said something cringe, so we're actually just going to skip past that. Because we don't actually need to sit here and do move up. But then I notice my teammate has 3 SSO teams and 3 GRU teams as his opener. Which, I mean, is an opener. I feel like if I had encountered that on the other side, I would have dropped about 10 JDAMs on that thing and dealt with it. So, I don't know. You know, potato. But the SSO teams are scaring off shoreheads and such. And this is just us getting set here. I like to send the Kozliks down. They can do some goofy shenanigans. They get you good recon as well. You can kind of see what the enemy's bringing in as an opener, and it helps classify kind of what the game tempo is going to look like. Because once you see their opener, you can kind of guess how they're going to play. Not like 100%, but. And then my tour is just driving to nowhere, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's going to get shot by the trophy. Luckily it doesn't. Kozlik doing some goofy things in the middle lines. And then I'm targeting the war pigs, because if I can kill the war pigs, their infantry gets stuck. However, I only get a crappy war pig full of Becker riflemen. So, not some good infantry that would have actually helped with the line, but just some mech riflemen. Moto guards, kind of a meta Russia deck, I guess you'd say. You've got okay infantry. The SSO is really good. The Garda Motostrelki, even though they've got only 6 armor, they do have 2 PKPs, and that buffed them significantly because now the RPG 28s and the 2 PKPs, with the new damage buff, they do some good. So I'm getting set. Typically on this game, you play Charlie, India, like 1 player Charlie, 1 player India, Hotel. That's what our enemies did. But I guess that's not what's occurring here. So for whatever reason, my team's decided, hey, we don't need another player on the right. And thankfully, our enemies haven't really exploited that because they don't really have a recon. over there. And the thing about recon in this game is you can fly whatever you want, wherever you want. That's got a lot of vision, right? But with how line of sight works and things like that, like you're not 100% sure there's nothing there, which that fog of war gives you a bit to maneuver around. So, and then I'm like, oh shit, where's my team? And I'm like, wait, there's like 4 colors on the left. Yeah. I assumed because somebody capped India, right, that they'd be playing there, but no, they sent in a recon vehicle. So, honestly, I think India is very important on this map too. It's kind of a slog play for obvious reasons, right? There's not a lot of good offensive action on either side. You got this giant ass forest on the right, which just eats all your units, and then a big open middle thing where jabs and ATGMs just kind of murder your day. So, and then here I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Okay, we're alone. Interesting. Now I have to adapt to that, right? Because I'm realizing after my spam pings that nobody sent anything over there. So a hotneck's going to go fly over here just to provide some preliminary recon to make sure that nothing's like broken through. And we're starting to see these war pigs moving around a little further. And then a shorad starts shooting. And I'm like, oh, we need to run. If you fly in the opposite direction of your flares, I feel like they give you just a bit more ECM, which is helpful, especially for helicopters. And I just get really lucky here. We just outrange the shorad just barely, so. And then stuff in the PRPK right there. Again, not ideal opener, because now we have a large exposed far right flank that there's an entire player dedicated to, and we're not dedicated to there. So interesting stuff. And as I was saying before I got distracted, I tend to do that. The far right on this map is super important because you see how deep this map goes in the flank. So if you don't have someone watching that, dude, they could sneak a whole fighter back, like a jet fighter, through the far right flank, and then they could just wreck your day up and spawn camp all your bombers, or they could insert STT teams, things like that, and you're having a not good time anymore. So, but I'm obviously not able to commit all my forces over there because I'm trying to have an actual BC hold, right? Because both of these points are important on this map. The far left's important, yes, but the points are a little more constricted to the edge, I feel like. And then the far right, both of these points, if you get overrun on the far left, for example, they have to still cross the airfield to get to all the important Delta and Charlie points, or Delta and, I think, Bravo and Alpha. But if you get overrun on the right, they can just drive across all these nice like building areas straight to Delta, Bravo, and Alpha. So something to think about. It's typically why we put 2 people on this side of the map. But our enemies are pretty passive here, which is helpful to me. And we're playing a pretty strong deck too. In terms of weaknesses, if you shove infantry in its face, like combined arms infantry, I guess, because all the infantry is specialized, right? The guard are meant to just repel tanks. They're not meant to kill them, but the RPG-28s will repel a tank. The Sturmoviki are meant to kill infantry. The SSO are meant to kill infantry. But you don't have a dedicated, like, I can do everything unit really well. Like, for example, airborne NSGW, they can do everything decent. They have a MAWS, they have all that. Or like a Marine small combo. You don't really have a Marine small combo. You don't have a vehicle that you're going to shove like a Marine small combo into. You don't have an analog to that. So Just everything does something well. But if you're facing a lot of stuff, you might get overwhelmed. But we've got recon up on the right, so we'll know if we're getting directly flanked, which is good. And then I'm just going to go send a double stack PTO Metis team to cover the bridge here in case we get attacked by enemies. And I'm trying to get this helicopter to hover on top of the tower so that it can just have a line of sight. But it's unable to. It just goes straight in the building, which is unfortunate. Is what it is, though. And we're going to get our units back up. I always don't know whether I'm going to bring SSO or like SSO close range or SSO long range. I think close range is worse, but the long range has... I feel like you want a dedicated CQC infantry in this deck. And like a dedicated long range killing infantry is useful, but it's not gonna, I don't know. It doesn't really help me the most. So and then we're doing some lasing here because I did see some infantry get inserted in here. Get them, cancel that laser, and then we're gonna laze in the back in case they dropped another infantry. So we've cleared out that tree line pretty good with the Smirch, or the Tornado. And now we just need to kind of determine what we need to reinforce our front lines. On the far right, if anything actually seriously pushes it, they're just going to take it. The Metis teams are not going to be able to stop it. They have 4 Metises, which is powerful, but they're not going to be able to prevent what's coming. And then a FEP trophy appears. Dangerous thing, a tank that is attacking my infantry that don't really have AT support besides one Drawsed. And the Draws definitely can't kill that thing, so. So now it's kind of, we need to pull our infantry back because they're not going to be able to kill this tank. Lots of anti-infantry units over here, right? But no, no anti-tank units. And I think I realized that a bit. But we've got a Drawsed, and the Kurganets can do some damage with those Cornets. So I realize the Tornado's 2 rocket salvo is not going to probably hurt this tank. So we're going to pause it. And the nice thing is you can pause the fire and they'll continue the fire mission. Look at that. And he's just getting smoked by a bunch of ATGMs now. And now we're going to dance our lasers around. Now the Marines show up. And our anti-infantry can work. So the Garda aren't going to do super well, but the Moto Pehoka and the Moto Pehoka aren't really anti-infantry, but the SSO, everything can work in conjunction with each other. Oh, and good snipe with the Igla there. I didn't even see that while I was playing. So overall, we're defending decent. I think we scared him off with that Smirch. We just killed a 350 point unit for no EV by him, so he's going to have to reevaluate how he pushes me. Which is good. We want the enemy not thinking he can push us, even though we're actually a what noodle over here. So. But 15 minutes in, we're doing well. I don't know. I was kind of like sitting here twiddling my thumbs this game. Luckily, I'm playing a deck where I can twiddle my thumbs and I don't need to do offensive action because I've got artillery. So that's always helpful. If you didn't have that ability, it would be a little different. And then here I try to check for like a sentinel or something to make sure I'm not just sitting artillery out in the open if there is some type of long-range drone. But I don't see anything. And I try to dance my plane around the interceptor and leave. But we've got a pretty decent front line. No, I wouldn't say decent. I'd actually say it's pretty fragile in case of a push coming in. But we do have like staged rocket artillery and stuff like that, so it can help us out a little bit. And then on the far right, like if a heli push came in, it would roll our entire team. So at some point, we're going to need to buy a Tor to address that. And here I start shooting from supply, which is a bad move. Shouldn't be doing that. But I do, so I'll pay for it eventually. But for now, it's really good. I got lazy with that. And with no AA, like no long-range AA, I'm not going to be able to justify that. But I realized my right flank's vulnerable to tank pushes, as he showed with that FEP trophy. So we're getting infantry that have long-range anti-tank capability. And we're just trying to hit tree lines where I think he might be staging or putting infantry that can see everything. And overall, just trying to improve our position, but we're obviously not going to be going on any offensive action. And then we have a 9-11 score here. And so I go, haha, look at my... I think I took a screenshot of it. And then my teammate here is like a 17.0 KD or something crazy like that. But regardless, KD doesn't matter if you can't hold your points, so something to consider. And then here I want to give myself a little APS forewarning, I guess, or like the theory here is I know the Stormoviki can't kill like a infantry unit, and then there's a nuke, but I don't think it kills anything important, so just kind of a waste. But I try to put this Stormoviki down so that it can slow down the advance of enemies pushing through the village or the middle, and then maybe gives them like a second thought because they think there might be more infantry or something like that, just to pair up and help. But obviously, like an actual push is going to full roll that, so it's a stopgap measure is what it is. It's meant to try to defend a point, like psyop wise, if that makes sense. And then we're just using the Moto Pahoka's scouts here because I realized he could be on that reverse slope and I wouldn't know. But I don't see anything, so very interesting, very interesting. And now I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm not doing much. Sure, I'm putting down infantry, but our team's doing pretty good on the left, and I'm just solo holding over here. But the enemy team doesn't seem to care that I'm just the only one over here. And the Russian says, this time, essentially, he stated, like, why don't we take advantage of the gap that was caused by the nuke and fill in and push some infantry out, like expand into the forest, which is a fair point. If the nuke kind of killed more friendlies or like their friendlies than it did ours, we could just fill that gap because, there's no enemies and where the nuke hit. Right. Or at least like immediately after the nuke. So looking to broaden my content a little bit. I need to figure out a good video editing software because I don't have one currently. And so when I upload videos, I just like record them in OBS and then record another one in OBS. And then that's kind of it. which is kind of detrimental. So, and then I don't like the pathing on this map. If you don't control the middle, your tanks just kind of die. And this Dragoon trophy might be able to see me. I don't think he does, but might be able to. Here I see two colors moving over here. And I'm like, uh-oh. I think the offensive is starting. And sure enough, here they come. I should have put some recon on the slope, looking back on it, but was unable to, so. Instead we're dealing with a mass offensive. The tank moves up. I don't know. I'm just going to have the tank support with infantry because I can't kill that FEP trophy. What I should have done here is smoked up with that Garda that's getting melted and pulled them back because they're just going to die for no reason. Which sucks, but is what it is. And here I don't have availability of laser, but just rounds on target next to where that trophy is. Scares the guy off, and then a good cluster grad just to saturate where their movement was coming from. So the best thing about the Russian like Moto mech or Moto guards deck is you have some good offensive weapons with the guards tank, and you have the APS, but then you also have good defensive weapons with the artillery, because that's what I kind of use artillery for. You pre-stage firing positions once you've held something, and you can use it offensively too, but it's just better defensively. And here I don't smoke up the draws, and it just gets freaking melted, man. Those Marines were just going crazy on it. I don't know how. I don't know if the Delta had like the Fletchers or something. I think that's a thing, right? They have long range standoff capabilities. And then just getting more melted, so. You can see my Smirch died back there, which is unfortunate because now I don't have any rounds to rearm my Grod with, so. I tell my Hotneck to kill a Comanche, and then I think about how much shit they have. Like Shorehead and shit. I'm like, I'll wait. But I have like a lot of armor in my face, and I have 2 AT units. Yeah, so 2 Step V2s, and I think there's a FEP up there as well. And I just don't have, like, my cluster rods out, my Cornet M's on 1. I don't have a lot to actually cushion the impact of an armored push, besides the helicopter. That's kind of like, that'll keep them back. Like, they won't full extend because there's a helicopter. And helicopters are scary, but everything else is going to be no bueno. It's going to kill all my infantry for sure. So, something to consider. That was kind of on my mind. I'm like, I need to just get my infantry out of here. They're not winning this fight. So, the Moto Pahoka aren't going to kill a Set V2 or a FEP any day of the week. They're just there to scare things and do a little damage to infantry before they get in. And the attackers on the Hotneck are just, they're doing work. They're pretty fast, which I like. And I smoke up because I moved my Barbarous trying to kill the FEP, and it didn't work. So there we go. Calling it a bomber. I was going to see where they were trying to path to and just predict that, but then he just parks it there. So I don't know if he's planning on bringing supplies or bringing it back, but it's a good enough target for a 305-point bomber that I'm going to do it. It's an expensive tank, so. It doesn't help that, or it does help that, you know, there's essentially no long-range AA that can kill me, so. Over there. And then we're going to bring more supplies up. I should have swapped this supplies up just to get more supplies, because the Grod's not going to really help in terms of offensive capabilities now, or like retaking this point. Something to consider. Did I order another Ohotnik here? I must have. Huh. So I think my Ohotnik, yeah, so you see on the bottom left there, it says enemy recon spotted. I wonder. I don't remember. Yeah, he got, so they were spawn camping our heli spawn there. And I didn't even notice. Because I do remember buying in another Ohotnik. And it just not showing up. And that's why. Okay. That makes me feel better. I'm not crazy. I'd remembered something about a Ohotnik, but I didn't realize that we had fucking that much recon in our spawn. They also had 2 STT teams there. Huh. Interesting. Oh yeah, and this is where I notice it, I think. Because I buy a SU-24, and they've just got seat up. And then I afterburn it. And then here, while I'm microing it, it takes a shot. And it's dumping flares like right over there. So I'm like, okay, something there. And there's clearly no AA shooting at it. So something with bad anti-air capabilities. I ping it, and then I'm like, I'm going to send a Ohotnik over there. I think my other Ohotnik must have eaten most of their rockets is what would have happened, because they didn't shoot any anti-air at us. And yeah, this guy flies his helicopter over, sees them, and then he just doesn't pursue. I don't know why. So. And while I'm microing over here, I actually don't have, like, if they wanted to, they could have rolled my front line here very easily. Helicopter's gone, fighting recon in our back lines. And there's still no good ability there. So, well, we pick up some points here. It's like 200 points. The snipers and then the STT, which is good. And then the cluster, I want to clear out anything that's sitting on that reverse slope. So. Then we're going to buy another tornado as well. They got a slower paced game. But yeah, not all games that I play are like the meat grinder slops that I show. But a significant amount are. I will be fair. I do like the meat grinder slops with just the I enjoy the back and forth and the fighting, because it feels a little more tactical in terms of like this stuff. It's sure I'm playing longer range and I'm just sniping you with arty, and then if I don't have the paper to beat your rock, I just have scissors, right? And you beat me with your rock, it's just not a fun experience. But with the meat grinder, right, the infantry are going to fight the infantry, and it's just who's microing their infantry better, who's bringing like better support equipment for their infantry, stuff like that, and who's bringing like combined arms to help their infantry out. So in that, excuse me, I thought I heard someone at my door, which would have been weird because it's very early in the morning. That cluster grad that I did kind of inadvertently pushed me out of the point completely, because their freaking Marine Raiders just jumped up because they didn't want to get clustered. And then my Tor is sitting out in the open, which I didn't realize. I thought I'd put it in a tree line. So no bueno. And then Orange is sending M113s at me, which is also not good. So I'm trying to use the Barbarous and micro the Barbarous to kill the M113 so the infantry can't get too far. And then the artillery should be able to clean them up. But if they stay in their transports, they're still mobile. And then that makes it harder to clean up. So. But the Barbarous is pretty helpful in terms of stopping them from attacking me. So I'm going to buy another one. Then here, I try to get Moto Pehoka out, but they're unable to. The artillery, The Smirch, at least, was not very helpful. What actually saves me here is the 230 mils. They're doing damage. And then the Cluster Grot is slowly wearing down on their health. So, just good combinations there. And then again, I want to check for Sentinel or something like that with the MiG. Not sure if I see it, but then we've got PTRK versus Mech Engineers and Mech Riflemen. I'm surprised the Cornet didn't die here. I think they's lost vision. And I was trying to get them to shoot back or something. I don't know. Oh, blow up the ground. I was trying to blow up the supplies so that they couldn't take them and rearm all their guys. But yeah, that didn't happen. So this standoff SSO is actually pretty good, I will admit. It's a good deterrent to infantry. And a quick look on how our team's doing. They're just owning the enemy on the left completely. We've got like S300s and Ixlanders just going crazy. And my two guys on here are just not putting anywhere near enough pressure. They should have realized that they're only fighting one guy, and like, sure, they'll go down in kills for a bit probably, but if they put pressure on my side, they relieve the guys on their side. Because the guys on their side are 3v2, and then there's a 1v1 in the middle, and then there's me with distracting two players over here. So but you know, I'm just that good, so I'm fighting two players at once. Yeah, no biggie. And the Barbarous only had 2 Cornets. If it had 3, it would have killed that HC. It's just so powerful, man. Those Cornet M's are so good. They rip through tank front armor, and it's just nothing they can do about it. So I call it a Smirch because I want to kill whatever's left in that tree line. And I see my teammates already drawn a line there, so I refrain from shooting. And our defenses are honestly pretty thin here. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna restock some infantry and things like that just to hold it by ourselves. Again, I don't know. If I was the enemy, right, I would be going buck wild over here, right? There's literally nothing stopping them from pushing us, just like ooh, straight down this line, or like a heli rush like this, and then whapam, it's over. My Hotnik would die, all this would die, the back line would just get murdered. So, thankfully they didn't put any pressure. Like there wasn't, I don't know, recon here, or like, just like stuff that would make me have to focus over here, because then they could put more pressure here if they wanted to. If that was their main goal, to put pressure to attack the points over here, putting more pressure here would have diverted my attention. But they didn't, so we can thank our enemies for doing that and kind of keeping our defense in line. Because like we've got 2 Barbarouses, and that's kind of it in terms of our defense right now. The rest of it's been destroyed. Cornets, and then Diversanti. So really thin defense, but our teammates sending in some things to help us, which is kind of him. And we're going to make sure that he doesn't just get aura farmed by their soft infantry and shit like that. So That SSO, man, just does so much damage, that Cornet, dude. All right, maybe I do like them. Maybe I do like them. They're supporting, especially against these big meaty infantry squads. I think maybe the SSO Cornet's the way to go. If it was like 5-man squads like Baltis or Baltics, Jesus, it's late. I'm gonna go to bed. It would be a little different, but then I draw the line here, not really realizing my teammate's just gonna go straight for that, but he do, and then I just don't recognize it, so kind of lame of me. I think I hit some of his infantry with my artillery. That's my fault, Shouty. And then get lazed by the F-35. No good, no good. But they trade, so I'm almost positive that F-35 was not 250 points, so good trade there in terms of value. In terms of the actual front line, though, probably not. And then I realized a little bit too late that I'm shooting him with my arty, so. And then here, there's something, I guess they're in a building, so that makes sense, but I thought Stormoviki would beat the troopers, even if they're in a building, because they have good armor and all that, but I guess the troopers win, so. Oh well. Bad calculus on my part there. You know, just 2 8-man squads. One's got like dedicated anti-infantry weapons, and one's got not dedicated any enemy anti-infantry weapons, so. Yeah. I don't know. Now we've got, what, 5 minutes left in the game? No, 8 minutes left in the game. So. And then he gets the F-16, and my Book doesn't even shoot at him. So now I don't have any anti-tank or mobile anti-tank options over there. And then I see all these set V3s, and I'm like, holy shit. If we're holding our front and I don't see an immediate push, maybe we'll help out our teammate with our arty, because it's important. And I always like to draw lines with arty. I don't like to do the point stuff because, I don't know, it seems to be more effective. So, especially with like rocket arty, I guess, versus like shooting arty like the Tulpan or the Malka or the Kalitzia or the Iron Thunder, something like that. So then here I realized I've drawn my line a little too far back, and there's lots of infantry over there, so I'm thinking maybe we draw the line where they're going to retreat, but probably too late then. So again, no pressure on the right. Surprising. We're pretty weak in the middle, but we've got 2 Garda Motostrelkis now and then a BTR to support them. So our team's doing pretty well in the middle. Unless a nuke hit. It's the only thing. If they got nuked there, it'd be kind of over. GG's. So something to think about. And I see the pack back there, and I'm like, okay, it's probably a good... I'm assuming the supplies are somewhere near there. So I want to draw like a cluster guard like that, just to cover and saturate that entire area for supplies and shit like that. So then here I kind of make a strange play. Not really my thing. If I should have been intellectually honest and gone for the high point unit that was on low HP, then shoot the Shorad, but the Shorad was killing me. But then another one pops up right behind it, so just immediately melts me. I'm like, why has this guy got a bunch of Shorad with him? But he does have a lot of expensive tanks, so. And then I see our opponent preparing another offensive, so the arty's gonna deal with that before it festers into something I can't control. So and I'm just trying to watch where my teammates pushing so I can see if I need to readjust arty or not. And I actually don't see what I kill with this artillery barrage, so kind of interested. I was a bit busy microwing over here with the lasers and such. Doesn't seem the cluster grot actually kills anything. It would have been more useful on that big clumping of infantry and other things. But we do end up killing the opponent on the right there, so good for us. In that tree line, which means he's probably not going to push for a bit. And then their push occurs on the far right. Helicopter, I just staged it to be behind those buildings so I could pop it down if I need to. And then just noticing lots of enemy attack vectors. But I don't actually have any points for this, right? I'm too busy wasting all my points fighting on the left for Charlie, so the only thing I have is an Ahotnik and some artillery. And then these Sturmoviki and other things. If this guy had gotten his killer eggs around instead of just sitting there like a pansy, it would have been a bad deal for us. But unfortunately, they go that way. So, but we start engaging with some of these larger artillery units and start just murdering them, say the very least. And then they do end up surrendering. So, despite having the lowest kills by far on our team, we were still holding more points than the rest of our team. Even though the zone score doesn't show that, right? We were holding the 2 points, and it never changed hands. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment if you enjoyed, and let me know if you'd like to see me play a deck or like a certain strategy, and I'll take that into consideration. Have a good day. Bye.